Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome into the 143. This is Under Review. We're coming at you live. Nick, how are we doing today?
Doing pretty good. Coming off a Cowboys loss on Monday Night Football, to nobody's surprise. The team is an absolute joke. Defense looked pretty awful, as per the usual, and then the offense was following right along with them, not being able to do jack squat. So, obviously, the season's been over for a while now, but we just have to sit here and endure it for the next couple of weeks. But just another awful showing. I don't know who thought it would be a good idea to have a primetime game with Cowboys Cardinals, because those are both two teams that have been struggling as of late. But here we are.
We're recording this before the trade deadline on Tuesday, but we just want to make that known that whatever trade Dallas makes, we don't really care at this point. There's rumors of a trade Wednesday. By the time this episode airs, might be a trade. Who cares? We're not doing anything. So we're going to dive into it. Stat of the week brought to you by Andrews Logistics is a Will Smith has won the World Series 6 times in a row. So from 2020 to now, somebody named Will Smith has won a World Series all 6 years. And that's impressive. Not the same guy, but at least one dude named Will Smith has won a World Series. And just got to give props to the Dodgers for going back-to-back, winning their second World Series in the last 2 years. So great World Series with the Dodgers and Blue Jays. We're not going to get into it. We can't stand either team, but Dodgers won the World Series, and Will Smith gets his 6th straight World Series ring.
Yeah, obviously nobody wants to see the Dodgers win a World Series, so there's that. But Player of the Week, Brock Bowers, 12 catches, 127 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Unfortunately, wasn't enough to win the game, but was a very notable performance. Was out there, in his first week back after missing a little bit of time. Came out and was just an absolute dog, but like I said, still, unfortunately, it was not enough to win the game. They would lose in overtime, 30-29 to the Jacksonville Jaguars, but good game for Brock Bowers.
Congrats to Brock. All right, let's roll into it. We're going to start with the craziest game of the week with the Bears playing the Bengals. Bears were up 14 with a minute and 40 left as the Bengals go score a touchdown, get a 2-point conversion, get the onside kick, go score a touchdown, go up by 1 point. And then the Bengals defense strikes yet again as the Bears only needed, what was the time left on the clock? They only needed like 50 seconds to go, 30 seconds to go score a touchdown to Colson Loveland for a 50-yard touchdown from Caleb Williams, and that's all she wrote. Crazy last 2 minutes of the game, though, and good to see an onside kick finally work. So Joey Flacco had a career day. We love him on this show. Career high 470 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. So was not enough to get the job done. The Bears offense now the Bengals offense hates the Bengals defense right now, and there is trouble brewing in that locker room.
Because you had Jamar Chase and Chase Brown both come out publicly speaking against the defense, which to a point it's understandable. I mean, it's
Can't
crazy
do it publicly,
to put up 42 points and still lose the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then, I mean, if you're Jamar Chase, you got to look at your paycheck that you're collecting. You're taking up the
good amount of that cap.
Team's salary cap.
Yeah.
So you got to think about the money that they're paying you is money that they can't be paying defensive playmakers.
Yeah.
So that's something you got to take into account. Obviously, yes, you should be winning those games, but I mean, there's kind of two sides to everything, and then there's been a lot of shade kind of thrown Joe Burrow's way. Just talking about the situation that he's in because of what we've seen from Joe Flacco the last couple of weeks. I've seen some people online kind of hating on Joe Burrow a little bit, saying that as
anybody
the weeks
could throw
go on, they're less impressed with what Joe Burrow does. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that. obviously, yes, the Cincinnati Bengals have some offensive weapons, but, nobody in the right mind is taking Joe Flacco over Joe Burrow. Obviously, he's the better of the
Yeah.
two. Um, and if we've seen anything from Joe Flacco over the last couple of years, it's that we know he's good for a good, 3-4 game stretch
Right,
here and
right.
there every year. He gets kicked around from team to team, so I don't think that's really doing Joe Burrow justice. But Cincinnati Bengals, um, we knew their defense was going to be bad coming into the season, and now it's
And it
being put
is.
on full display. Um, the Bears would, after starting the season 0-2, now move on to 5-3. So people were kind of jumping ship on Ben Johnson pretty early on, and now they've kind of bounced back.
Yep.
Not that they're going to be, nasty by any means, because you beat the Bengals,
Got a good defense, though.
who just lost to the Jets the week before, who had not won a game until last week. But you're at least seeing the organization finally move in a positive direction. So you got to be happy about that if you're a Bears fan.
Absolutely. Pittsburgh, Indy. It's just notable to mention this game is Indianapolis finally loses another game. They're 7-2, still atop the AFC. But Pittsburgh's defense finally showed up. Daniel Jones had 5 total turnovers with 3 picks, 2 fumbles. But I think it's just one of those things. The Colts are a good team. They've shown they're a good team. Good teams have bad games in the NFL, and this was just one of those games for the Colts where the Steelers defense played better than the Colts offense. And, this is what everyone thought the Steelers defense was going to look like coming into the season. Held Jonathan Taylor to 45 rush yards. They looked great. Their front 4 looked great finally. And, maybe for Steelers fans, this is a sign that they're turning in the right direction here offense is continuing to put up points, and now the defense, just stopped one of the most potent offenses in the league. So, good win for the Steelers, and Colts are moving on to the next week.
Yeah, this isn't jump ship on the Colts, but
No.
they still are looking like the best team in the league. But you're not going to come out and be, absolutely perfect every single week. You are going to have off weeks here and there. Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor did not look their best, even though Daniel Jones still threw for like 300-something yards or whatever it was.
A lot of garbage time yards.
But,
game was already over.
Scrap it, move on to the next week. You're 7-2, so, there's not too much to complain about.
Right.
But now you kind of got an idea of things you need to fix. You can kind of kick it into that next step and, make that playoff push or see how you can make a deep run.
Yep. Another notable game just to mention is Carolina beating the Green Bay Packers in a scrap fest of a game in Green Bay. Panthers heavy underdogs. The Panthers are one of those teams that when people count them all the way out, they kind of show up and win the game. It's not pretty, but they got a game-winning field goal as time expired. I think this game shows a lot about the Packers. The Packers, other than that Pittsburgh game and our game, when they tied against us, have struggled a little bit, especially against bad teams. I don't know if it's, they're not prepared enough coming into the games because it's a bad team, or, maybe they're just not as good as everyone thinks they are offensively. They do have a great defense. They held Bryce Young. I think Micah after the game was like, it's not very often where a quarterback throws for 100 yards and wins the game. Defensively, they look great. Offensively, they've got some things to figure out.
Not throwing a single touchdown pass offensively. Josh Jacobs ran for 87 yards and had their lone touchdown. But then Rico Dowdle, who's been making a name for himself this year, 25 carries, 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's just a regular stat line for him.
Yeah.
Week in, week out is what it's looking like.
He's phenomenal.
But, the Panthers are winning some games here. And what we're seeing also in these wins is that it's coming down to, I would say, kind of these clutch drives to where, they get a game-winning field goal this week, and then, even in our game, you kind of just got to keep getting. It was
Yeah.
like get 2 or 3 more first downs to kind of kill the clock and end the game,
Mm-hmm.
and they did that. And then I feel like they've probably had a couple more before then that I'm not really thinking about. Obviously, that's an ugly, ugly win because your quarterback throws for 102 yards. But I mean, you know, Green Bay is a team that a lot of people are putting in their Super Bowl conversations. They don't look like that to me, but at least to everyone
No.
else, that's what they're saying. And you went out and beat them at their home stadium. So I mean, we're not used to seeing. Um, we're used to seeing the Panthers kind of sit amongst the bottom and not be winning very many games, but they move on to 5-4. Don't know. Don't think they're going to do any damage the rest of the season, but they are kind of playing spoiler on a lot of teams.
They are.
So we'll see how they do next week.
Game of the week was Chiefs visiting the Bills, and this game went how it normally does in the regular season as the Bills come away with the win. I feel like we talk about this game every year, and every year we say, oh, the Bills beat the Chiefs in the regular season, and we're like, oh, but can they do it in the postseason? And they don't. So Josh Allen, as he usually does, had a phenomenal game against the Chiefs. He had 3 touchdowns to himself, and the Bills defense showed up and played great against Kansas City. Not much to say about this game other than, this one, it really matters when they play in the postseason. And I think, until Josh Allen can beat the Chiefs in the postseason, there's not much to be said about this regular season win.
Yeah, it happens every year, kind of like you were saying. The only thing, I guess, notable about this loss to the Chiefs is that they are outside of the playoff hunt right now. I believe they're technically what would be the 8 seed. Obviously, it's week 9.
They should get in.
So there's plenty of room.
They might not win the division, but they'll get in.
To progress or whatever. But they're still favored to go back to the Super Bowl. In a lot of these, odds, stat, whatever you want to call it, probability, trackers.
The odds
or whatever.
makers.
It's just because that if the Chiefs punch a ticket and get into the playoffs, what they're capable of, because they've done this for a couple of years now, where they're just kind of like, running even keel through the regular season, and then when playoffs roll around, they just kick it up a whole nother notch, and they're a whole different team.
Right.
I mean, they're 5-4, but we know what they can do. We know the weapons that they have on offense, and then their defense has been good for the majority of the season. So there's not a whole lot to say. I mean, they're going to figure it out just because that's what they are. But all they have to do is get in.
Sunday Night Football, not much to say about this game as the Seahawks just absolutely obliterate the Washington Commanders. Sam Darnold was on fire in first half, 17 for 17. 200-plus yards and 4 touchdowns. Jackson Smith-Njigba had 100-plus receiving yards at the half. The Seahawks team looks great defensively, offensively. And then Jaden Daniels at the end of the game when they're down by 31 probably shouldn't have been in the game and suffers a just terrible arm injury as you see his elbow bend the way that it's not supposed to bend on live TV, as they were so kind to show everybody the replay. And, hopefully Jaden Daniels will be okay. He's looking more and more like RG3. I know people don't love it when people say that, but this is his second year, and it's been riddled with injury. So lots to say about Seattle. Seattle's great. They look really good, and they're definitely going to be contending for the NFC West this year.
I mean, this game was over pretty quickly. Sam Darnold was playing on another level in the first half.
Yeah.
And I mean, it got up to, it was 28-0 at one point before the half ended. And you're like, all right, yeah, this game's over. Sam Darnold is a guy that not a lot of people are talking about in the MVP conversation.
Right.
I don't think he's a front runner by any means, but I do think his name, deserves to at least be in that hat somewhere, just because of the caliber of football that he's been playing. Leaving Minnesota last year was kind of big question mark on
Yeah.
what he was going to be able to do this season, and he's kind of proving that it was obviously, yes, it was the situation that he was in, but also he was a huge part of why that offense was as successful as it was. Um, JSN having a great year, yet another 100-plus yard week, I believe. Yeah, 129 yards, just absolutely ridiculous. I think Sam Darnold's put the nation on watch. 330 yards, so good for him.
Yeah.
Only missed on 3 of his passes, which is ridiculous. 21 of 24.
It's crazy. Great legacy game from Sam Darnold. Seahawks move on. And now we're on to the Monday night game, which we probably wouldn't even normally talk about if the Cowboys weren't playing in it, because that's how bad of a game it was, and that's how bad the teams playing in it were. This game was over pretty quick, in my opinion, as our defense started out looking awful, and then the offense gets stopped on a 4th and goal to begin the game, and then pretty much downhill from there, as we had Jake Ferguson fumbling the ball in a crucial moment. We had Javonte Williams fumbling the ball at the end of the game. Dak throwing a pick to end the game. 3 turnovers on the night. We just got obliterated by a Cardinals defense who is not very good. We got obliterated by a Cardinals offense who is also not very good. And, it just all around bad game. I don't, like we said before, whatever trades like Jerry's thinking about making, keep the picks. We're going to need them. It's time to rebuild. We've been needing
Yeah,
it for a while.
I mean, our offense that we've been so high on over the last couple weeks. I mean, let's see. First drive, turnover on downs. Second drive, 3 and out, and then fumble, missed field goal, turnover on downs, touchdown, fumble, interception. I mean, that's kind of unacceptable. Um, the defense was awful, as per usual, to nobody's surprise. But um, for how bad they were at least playing somewhat well enough to keep us in this game. I mean, you look at a couple decisions there towards the end where I guess it was 27-10 at that point, and we went for it on 4th down in the red zone, and you'd think, okay, if you kick the field goal there, then maybe later on, rather than it being a 2-possession game, it's a 1-possession game. But obviously, it doesn't matter if you fumble the football at the end. Just some costly turnovers. Not a whole lot to say. I mean, we expect better from the offense because we know what they're capable of. And then we've seen the Cardinals blow quite a few 4th-quarter leads
Not this
last few weeks. And it was looking like for a second they might have done it again. But it was just, for whatever reason, we made their defense look like they were the best defense in the NFL.
This isn't shocking to Cowboys fans anymore. It's not surprising watching games like this to us anymore. We've said it for so long, but you can do whatever, we can say whatever changes need to be made, but the changes that need to be made are at the very top. This team is supposed to be thought of as like a team that's supposed to contend for the Super Bowl every year, and you've got Cowboys legends coming out like Troy Aikman calling the game, who clearly wants his team to win and obviously knows who the problem is. Jerry is absolutely just tanking this team because all Jerry cares about is the clicks in the spotlight and his ego. And, we could talk about what needs to be changed on the field as much as we want, but the problem has been the problem for 30 plus years now, and that's Jerry Jones.
Yeah, I mean, the right changes just have never been made. We talk about it probably every week because it's at the forefront of our minds and it's because it's the bigger picture issue. It is leadership, just because it's been for 30 years now. Like we're 23 years old and we've never seen the Cowboys be competitive ever? Yeah, we've made the
No,
playoffs, but have we ever been actually competitive? No.
no.
Um, but the defense is awful. There's no trade that's going to come out in the next day or
We have to
two
trade the whole team.
that is going to make me think, okay, yeah, this team's in it to compete. I mean, we need 11 guys on defense. That's what we need.
We've said it before. I could have been out there on Marvin Harrison tonight. The way that Deron Bland was playing him, I didn't realize you didn't have to tackle or cover him at all. Like I didn't realize you could get paid $29 million over 4 years to let their number one receiver just have his way with you all game. It's ridiculous what we're watching. Jacoby Brissett torched our defense, lit our defense up. The Cardinals were down like their top two running backs. It didn't matter. They had a great night. Their backups did. Their defense, which is abysmal in the fourth quarter, had a phenomenal night.
They basically benched their starter in Kyler Murray, and
it paid off.
That is signs of a franchise / team that has given up. Even though it's week 9, that's a sign that they've given up. And they came in and they did whatever they wanted to. Their defense was looking lights out. The offense looked pretty unstoppable. Jacoby Brissett looked absolutely nasty. You should be embarrassed by the product on the field on Monday night.
There is no fix for this team except for, selling the team. That's the fix. This franchise needs a new culture. That's what it needs, because the culture right now is just about dollar signs and entertainment value. It's not about winning. We see a lot of franchises and programs around the nation that care more about winning than anything else, and it shows. It shows right now the Eagles are first in the NFC East, and they've already made 3 trades on their bye week. Howie Roseman is still putting together. They don't even really need anything on defense. They've gotten 3 defensive guys. And we see our guys. Jerry's just like, hey, I made a trade, and you're going to find out about it tomorrow. Stay tuned.
It's like nobody cares.
That's what it's about. It's just about the headlines. It's just about, look what I did. And what all Jerry's done is just keep us as a mediocre franchise for the last 30-plus years. So here's an idea. Stop taking press conferences at the end of every game. That's not your job as the owner. And maybe hire a GM and just back off.
Nobody cares to hear what you have to say. You're just a crazy old man. People just make fun of you for what you say. So you just leave it alone. Sell the team. We've been saying it for years now.
Please.
But
you owe it to the fans, dude. You're not doing anything to help this team anymore.
Yeah, nobody likes you.
The team.
I understand that the Cowboys were a dynasty 30 years ago, but that was 30 years ago. So it's time to give it up and move on.
Amen.
Yeah, here's like to end our shows in under review. Brought to you a quote from the Terry Bradshaw, and he said, "When you've got something to prove, there's nothing greater than a challenge."
Ain't that the truth? Thank you for tuning in this week, and we'll see you next week with no Cowboys games because they're on their bye week. Thank goodness. On Under Review.